Hey there everyone, happy Tuesday afternoon. King 5 meteorologist Adam Claibon to update you on the snow that is heading out, but at the same time a few snowflakes that are still expected to be around here into the evening, and the colder air that's coming in as we go late into the night. Plus we got another system later this week too to go over. So first let's talk about the here and the now and what's happening out there. And you can see out in Tacoma we were kind of well, shall we say, ripped off from seeing most of the snow there. Some of you might actually be pretty happy about that. Others of you who are wanting to see the snow, we got a lot of that south wind helping to really bring in that milder air mass, or comparatively speaking, milder air, which kept temperatures above freezing for most of the overnight and into early this morning. And that's why you see hardly anything at all on the ground as far as snow right now. Not really seeing anything in this view. Now, you change that over towards SeaTac Airport and we got quite a bit there. Now it's not a ton, but we are seeing that everything pretty much is completely covered by snow, except you can see the departure deck, a lot of the streets, the paved areas there. Those are looking to be a-okay, and that's something you're going to notice here across some parts of King County, heading down across even northern parts of Pierce County where we did see some of the snow. And as you go farther north, though, we do have more areas that are dealing with a bit more of the snow and ice covering some of the roadways there across the Snohomish County, and especially as you go up into Skagit and Whatcom County and the north coast of the Olympic Peninsula too, which we're going to talk about some of those snow totals here in just a second. First, let's talk about our first alert weather event, which we're at the tail end of. So for the rest of today, keep an eye out for some of those light snow showers, maybe even more flurries, and generally it looks like the rain that's down across parts of Thurston County will be generally still more in the form of rain, and not seeing a whole lot more than that. Throughout the night into tomorrow, icy conditions could set up in some of those spots that are dealing with some of the slushy areas on the roads. Plus we're still dealing with quite a bit of snow that's up into the mountains too, and that has been a complete headache for some drivers here throughout the day. And it really, as we go over the next couple of days, we're going to see the snow continue to wind down, but we're not going to have that completely cleared off. It will be drivable and it will definitely be passable, but you're still going to want to take your time as you're going across Stevens Pass, or really Snoqualmie Pass, even White Pass. Just keep that in mind. Now let's talk about some of those snow totals, because today we came in and we noticed that some of those amounts were higher up across the north coast of the Olympic Peninsula, including Clallam County, Port Angeles. Here, a foot of snow, and some of these totals were from about 7 a.m. this morning, so they could be updated as we go deeper on into the day. Oak Harbor, just under 7 inches there. Bellingham, 8 inches. Mount Vernon, about a half a foot, and then Bainbridge Island. You can see the farther south you go, the less those amounts were, as we got a lot more of that mixing, the warmer air mass in place. So we only saw 1.5 inches there for the location over Bainbridge Island. Now you can see how things are starting to change there across Hurricane Ridge. The Olympics looking beautiful with the fresh snow, but also with some of that sun peeking through the clouds and seeing some blue sky. But that's one of the few spots, because once you start to head farther to the east, Snoqualmie Pass, boy, it is rough. Look at all the snow that is there, and this is at about 1 to 1:30 this afternoon here into Tuesday. Bellingham, skies are really dark. We have that really cold air mass in place too. We're going to talk about that here in a second, but we got a nice area, a nice quite coating of snow with up to about 5-6 inches there in a lot of spots. And then Schoolnet side and shoreline, you can see the clouds just racing across the sky, but looks like the snow pretty much starting to wind up for us there. Back to SeaTac Airport, you can see things moving along just fine. Now temperatures, they dipped down quite low this morning. You saw they dropped all the way down to 33 in Tacoma before warming up above freezing, 32 in Olympia again before starting to warm up as we made our way into the latter part of the morning, getting closer to that morning commute. Up around Bellingham, Mount Vernon, those temperatures stayed in the teens and the 20s. So when we look at our current temperatures, you can see not a whole lot of change farther north in Bellingham. We're only up to 19 right now, but up to 42 in Olympia. Numbers got up into the mid and upper 30s around Seattle. Now we're starting to drop back below freezing at 30 degrees and 32 in Renton, 33 in Tacoma, 45 in Hoquiam, and here are your wind chills too. That's going to be a huge story tonight. The really cold air that's settling in is going to drop a lot of our wind chills at least into the teens. We could see some of those numbers maybe even getting closer to the single digits, like in Bellingham right now, as we're sitting at 6 degrees there for a wind chill, 25 in Tacoma, not doing too bad in Olympia yet at 39. That air mass, however, the center of it is off towards the east. It's across the northern plains right now, and it is dropping temperatures below zero, sub-zero temperatures across the Dakotas, heading down into maybe even Nebraska and over into Montana as well. So that air mass that's impacting us, it's going to be settling in, yes, but eventually it's going to start to work its way out. It's just going to take a couple of days, and it's going to take a system to try to work that out of here too, which we're going to talk about here in a second. The forecast here for this evening and tonight, your snowflakes kind of be very hit or miss for a lot of spots here across Seattle. Won't be leading to any additional accumulations, however. Temperatures hovering around freezing before we do start to drop a little bit more as we go deeper on into the night. There's some moisture. You can see a lot of that now disappearing off of the radar. As far as what we're seeing on radar right here as we head into the early part of the afternoon, some light snow across parts of northern Kings, southern Snohomish County. Seeing some of that extending a little farther off towards the east, heading into I-90 for Snoqualmie Pass as well, and into the foothills. And it's over into those parts too that we're still going to keep these winter storm warnings in effect for a little while longer into the afternoon. So until 5 p.m. on Tuesday, we expect that area here. Let me see if I can draw that out for you, for anywhere inside this line right here. So you can see the pink shaded area, but there's a line right here. Anywhere inside and to the west of that, that's where we are in a winter storm warning until 5 p.m. later on into this afternoon. Now, let me erase that. You can see farther off towards the east, heading into the Cascades, over into this area right here, going across the passes. That's where we are in a winter storm warning until 4 a.m., heading into late tonight, early into Wednesday. And that will be for the Cascades and across the passes where we could see that additional 12 inches of snow. For the areas farther to the west, we're talking about maybe another 2 to 6 inches. But again, with a lot of the snow now beginning to head south and out of here, we probably are going to see very limited amounts of snow starting to pile up there across the foothills. Now, you probably will be watching this later on into the day, but we still are under this winter weather advisory until 2 p.m. across Puget Sound. If you're watching later, we should be out of this, but additional amounts up to about an inch. I think the better chances of that actually happening across northern Pierce County. And then also we still have this winter storm warning across the Kitsap Peninsula. Colder air, also a little extra moisture over into these parts where we could see up to 3 inches. Again, I think this is mainly going to be an event that's pretty much done with now here as we go into the afternoon. So later on into this evening, 8 p.m., you can see the flurries still around. We'll see that some of those will start to come together a little more heading into late tonight, should it again lead to any additional accumulation. Then we go into early tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Cloudy, but things are looking dry. Maybe a few breaks in the clouds by tomorrow afternoon, but we're going to keep things quiet here for a little while. 7:30 tomorrow night, quiet and dry and very cold. On into late tomorrow night and into early Thursday, more the same. And I think a lot of Thursday going to stay dry. Here we are at 1:30 into Thursday afternoon. Not much of an issue at all when it comes to that next system, but later on into Thursday night into early Friday morning, and probably looking like it's going to be near, if not just after midnight, we start to see this next system arrive. Now, at the same time, too, you can see it's not just white showing up, which you can see that's starting off as snow here across some parts of Puget Sound, but we're also seeing this color right here. This is where you have the pink shading, is the possibility of seeing maybe some sleets or perhaps some freezing rain, and that could be a lot more of an issue. Thankfully, it looks like as we go into the night early into Friday, that warmer air is going to start to win out, so some of this is going to switch over to all rain as that occurs. The other thing, though, will be, though, for those areas that don't see that switch over, really, you're going to have to keep that in mind. There could be some icy spots as you go out early into your Friday and on into your day there. As far as temperatures, they do drop quite a bit as we go tonight and into early tomorrow, down into the 20s, teens in a few spots. Bellingham, I think, up into those parts, and into Whatcom County, we're talking about numbers into the single digits, and then we start to try to warm as we go into tomorrow afternoon. But most locations should probably keep highs in the 20s, with a few spots just barely getting back to 30 degrees. Up around Bellingham, maybe low 20s, I think mainly upper teens for highs tomorrow. Then we go into tomorrow night, more of that cold air in place, more teens, more low 20s. Depending on clouds, we'll probably drop a little more where we don't have as many clouds in place, where we keep a lot more of the clouds. We probably could hold hold on to the lower 20s, and then we go into Thursday afternoon, seeing those numbers trying to rise, but then we go into Thursday night with that next system arriving, and yeah, you can see temperatures really cold. We got that locked into place, but that next system is going to bring in a nice sludge of moisture as well as warmer air too, which is going to help to bump those numbers back up near, if not above freezing, as we head into Friday morning, and continuing to warm us up as we go later on into the upcoming weekend, where you see a lot more of those 40s beginning to pop up, and perhaps maybe even getting up into near 50 by the time we head not maybe into Sunday for Christmas Day, but maybe into Monday, into the following week. As far as your temperatures here, next couple of days going to be the coldest ones, 30 and 28 for highs, back into the mid to upper 30s on Friday, and then continuing to see that warming trend on into Saturday and Sunday. And again, heading on into this upcoming weekend and into next week, you can see those areas of rain beginning to take over as we go throughout the day. Friday, here we are Saturday at 7:30, and it's all in the form of rain, maybe some snow up across the North Cascades, going across eastern Washington and going across the eastern side of the state there, with more rain to come as we go into Sunday and Monday. So for today, not much more heavy snow, but flurries could start to continue to fly up there across the northern interior, as well as down here across parts of central and south sound, with maybe a little more mixing down this way too, with temperatures that are in the lower 40s starting to cool back down. Tonight's lows between teens and 20s. We're going to be in between the teens and 20s for a lot of spots. Your temperatures around Bellingham, maybe even Arlington too, could flirt with the upper single digits. I don't think we're going to see a lot of those, but again, will be a few spots that do drop into those parts, and maybe see a few wind chills that'll be near, if not below, that 0-degree mark. Here's your 7-day forecast, still under that first alert weather day today, but again, as we go into the night, that should continue to taper down. For Wednesday, we start off winter, and a few flurries around as we start off the winter season. 30 degrees, got to be a really cold one. 28 Thursday. If you're not a fan of all this cold weather, well, guess what? You get a warm-up this weekend. Highs back into the mid and upper 40s. We'll head the way back into the area, and we could even start to flirt again, yes, with the 50s as we head on into next Monday, as it looks like another system will roll on through as we head on into that time. So thankfully, yes, it looks like the worst of it is behind us, but something to keep in mind as we go throughout tonight and early into the day tomorrow. Keep an eye out for some of those icy spots, as temperatures will drop quickly, and any of those areas of snow that's still on the ground or perhaps on the streets or the sidewalks or slush will freeze again. So make sure to watch your footing and watch your driving as well. Take care. We'll have more updates for you coming up later.